Hi, now we will see how a mobile bot can be built in Tenjin Online. So before that, make sure that the particular application, that mobile application has been registered in Tenjin Online and has been mapped to your project, and make sure your agent is active and has been registered in your account. So once all these basic checks are done, then we can start with the automation part. So for knowing about the registration and everything, you can see the app registration video for Android. And once all the setup is done, then we can go for test bot building. So for that, we have to go for this robot face symbol module, that is the automation module. Once you click on it, you will be landing onto a test bot page where you'll be able to view the list of test bots that you have already created, and you can also create new test bots here. So to start with, I'll click on create new test bot and I will create a test bot. So the application that I have registered, if you remember, is YCS. So YCS, I will name it and I'll just name it as demo, and I will choose the application that I have registered, and the description is an option, and app reset is nothing but whenever you want the application to be cleared of cache and to start as a new application every time, so that you will be able to automate the user experience or the user manual also. So in that way you'll be able to enable this, so that every time it launches or every execution it happens, every time it will do the cache clear in the background and it will launch the application. And in the advanced options, you have two options. One is how to active step fails and the implicit wait time. How to active step fails is we have two options in that as well, which is stop if action fail and a continue if action fail. As the name says, in a set of actions, if any one of the action fails, then the whole action execution will fail. That goes under stop if action fail, and if you're under continue if action fail, though any one or two action fails, it will try to complete the execution with the remaining actions. And implicit wait time is nothing but the global wait that will be applied on the bot between each and every action under seconds. So I'll click on create here. Once you click on create, this is the project, sorry, this is the bot building page of the application. So in this page, we'll be having again four modules, that is build, test data, artifacts, and bot result. Build is the module where you'll be building it. Test data is the place where you'll be uploading or adding the test data for the particular execution. Artifacts is the place where you'll be adding images or documents that needs to be uploaded in the middle of an flow, where if you take a banking mobile application for creating a loan or any other thing, you'll be able to add the customer details in that place, where from artifacts we'll be able to upload it in the application. And bot results is the place, as the name suggests, it contains all the previous bot results or the previous bot execution results of this particular bot. And in bot build, you will be seeing this mobile design kind of frame where you'll be able to choose the device, that if you have multiple devices connected, and for the execution, you need to connect your mobile. I'm having a physical device here that is connected via USB cable and with USB debugging enabled. Let me launch the screen and show it to you. So if you see here, this is the Realme device that I have connected physically through, and I'm able to share the screen using an application called Visor. So make sure that you are either having a physical device connected or a virtual mobile device like Android Studio, where you will be able to upload the APK of the file and you'll be able to automate it from there. So here if you see, the application has been added, sorry, the mobile has been attached, and to check whether the mobile has been properly synced with your agent, for that we can go for the menu, click on agents, and once you click on your agent name, you will be able to see the device details here. This makes sure that the device is properly connected and you will be able to automate the device. So we will come back to the automation module and inside the bot, and if you are going inside an already created bot, then you will be into a viewable phase where you will be only able to view the actions that have been already recorded. As it is a new bot, I have not yet recorded anything. So I am also in the view page where you can see a blank screen here. To go to the build phase, I will be clicking on build here. So I'll be back to the test bot build phase. And in the same way, we have a few actions in the sites. Import test bot action, where you can split a bigger flow into small flows, and you can import all the test bots into a single flow, and you can make it as a single bot as well. Screenshots is a taking, it will be used for taking the mobile screenshots. Wait time is a hard wait time here, and you can insert actions based on the elements that the tool has learned, and enable and disable action. These are the predefined functions that are available in the screen. So to launch the application that I have registered, I'll click on this device drop down and I will choose the device that I have connected. So once you choose, you will be able to see the device name here. So the Realme device is named as RMX3782. Once I click on launch app, what happens is the application will be launched in the device. So here you'll be able to see the application has launched here, and the same screen has been mirrored in the Tenjin Online. Okay, so here once the application screen or the mobile screen has been mirrored here, you'll be able to see a few more actions. So let me go through everything. So in select view, we have two options, that is element view and screen view. And by default, it will be in the screen view. If you are unable to fetch that particular element that you're looking for in a screen view, then you'll be able to switch to element view, where you'll be able to see the element hierarchy of that particular DOM or the particular screen, and you'll be able to expand it and you'll be able to choose that particular element. And the default is the screen view that you see here, where every current screen of the mobile will be reflected once you click on refresh screen. And by doing mouse over, you will be able to see the elements that are being defined in this particular screen. And in screen view scan, there is two options, that is minimal and full. And by default, it will be minimal, where you'll be able to see only the actions that are only the elements that are having an action defined to it, or some text elements only. All the elements won't be highlighted. If you want all the elements to be highlighted for you, then you can switch for full and do a page refresh, so that you'll be able to see all the elements that has been defined in this particular page. So here, as you can see, once I put it for full and the refresh screen is done, you'll be able to see the text that is being highlighted, proper text. Before it was a bigger element. Now you'll be able to see the smaller text also. This paragraph is being highlighted. Both the buttons are getting highlighted. So in this way, you'll be able to switch between minimal and full, and you'll be able to scan it. So let me be in minimal and let me start the bot building for you. So first I want to click on the OK button, which is having a pop-up whenever the application is launched. So I'm clicking on this OK button, and whenever you're clicking on an element that has been highlighted, once after the click, you'll be able to see a attribute window containing the minimal details about that particular element, like a tag, resource ID if it is available, and Tenjin will automatically detect an action to it and it will apply it for it as well. And there are so many actions defined to the actions tab, where you'll be able to see click, double click, get value, get substring, compare, rejects, compare, swipe, slide, smart wait, verify element, and so on. It will be having a click here, and once I click add to the flow, that particular element will be added to the test bot flow, as you can see here. And for that particular element, if you want to see the locators or the identifiers for this particular element, then you can click on more actions here, and you can go for edit locator, where you will be able to see all the locators that has been added for this particular element, including there is so many different types of XPaths, including some of the anchoring XPaths and the normal XPaths, absolute relative XPaths. We have bounds, we have text. So all these locators will be added in the for the element. So what happens is, if it is unable to find using one locator, it will automatically switch and try to find the element using the next locators. So this is as far as the edit locator goes. And if you want to edit the action for already added action, then you can click on more actions and edit here, and you'll be able to edit the action and give a proper action for it as well. Moreover, you'll be able to see a few more actions here. So capture screenshots and add wait time are available outside also as a predefined functionality. Copy action is nothing but to copy the same action twice or thrice. You can do a copy action here, and insert action in the same way. You'll be able to see insert action here, and based on what are all elements that you have found out, you'll be able to have the insert action for it. So for example, some element is available in the repository, but you have not added it in the flow. Then you can take it from insert action, give the element name, and you'll be able to give a functionality to it, and you will be able to add it. And insert key press functionality. Insert key press is nothing but either you can use the numpad of that particular keyboard, or you can use tab, delete and enter key for that particular keyboard. So when you have a phone number to be add and enter, you will be only seeing the numpad, that won't be having words to it or letters to it. In that way, you'll be able to use numpad. So for some applications in some text boxes or some places, there will be a restriction for using only the numpad but not the normal keyboard. So in that place, if you want to enter, then you'll be able to use the numpad actions as well. Tab, delete, and enter key are also there in the normal keyboard. Then comes the device back button. Device back button is nothing but this back button that we have it in the device that makes the screen to go to the previous screen, or it makes the application to close, so or it makes the keyboard to hide. So in that way you can use the device back button. Scroll is nothing but the page scroll. Upload and download files use the artifact module and helps upload and download file, and we have extract OTP functionality as well, where from the notification the OTP can be extracted and used for login. So I'll come for another video for this one. Let's see how a bot building can be done normally. So once the first action has been added, then I'll be manually doing the same thing in the mobile application, and I will be continuing the flow. So here, as you can see, a fresh screen has come here. So I'll be giving a refresh screen so that you'll be able to see the newer screen in the page. So here also, if you do a mouse over, you'll be able to see only the login. But if you want to capture the text elements or the image elements, then you have to put it for a full scan and you have to scan it. So here I am clicking on login, and here you have the liberty to change the label name. So sometimes there will be a label defined for that element by default, or sometimes it might be changing based on the tag that has been given for that button. So in that case, for you to not to confuse with the elements, you can name it. So I am naming it as first login button, and I'm adding it to the flow. In this way, the elements will be added. And once the element has been recorded, I'll do it manually and I will refresh the screen here. So in the same way, you'll be able to see the new screen here, and you'll be able to see the highlighters that is having a functionality defined to it in the minimal scan. So here I am getting a scan for not the text, but for the text box and the buttons. So I'm using the username text box and I'm capturing it. As you can see, as it is text box, Tenjin Online already suggests it to have a input functionality. So we have two functionalities for input, that is input and send keys, to add a attribute to this particular text box. So send keys and input are same but different in the functionality level. So either you can directly hardcode the data, or you can parameterize the data so that you can enter it using test data. So I'll show how parameterization happens. So for that, the syntax will be double open floral bracket, double close floral bracket, within which you can give a name that defines that particular input name. So what I will do is I will give it as user name, and I'll click on add it to flow. So in this way, that particular username is being added in the flow. So once the username is added, what you can do is you can copy the action, and you will be able to do the changes in the copy action as well. So here what I'm doing is, once I copied the action, I want to do a similar functionality in the same input. So what I'm doing is, this input I am editing it and changing it to get value, and I am storing it in a variable. So through this variable you'll be able to call the data in the particular text box. So once we have input the username, we are capturing it and storing it in a variable called first name. So in this application, the username and password are same. So what I'm going to do is, whatever the variable I have used for storing the username, I'm calling it for entering it in password as well. So how that can be done is, you can go and click on password here, and in the attribute window, you'll be able to change the label name, and in input, you have to mention this syntax, where you'll be having double open angular braces and double close angular braces, within which you can give the variable name that stores the data of the input that we have already used. So the first name is the variable name. I have called it here in this format and I am saving it. So how it works is, first input will be done for username, then the same username data will be captured and stored in a variable. Then through that variable we are calling that data into the password place. So once this thing is done, the next is to do the login. So I'll be clicking on login button and I'll be adding it as an action. So I'll be giving it as a name called second login and I'll be adding it to the flow. So as you can see, the second login has also been added. So once that is done, I will manually do the same things in the mobile screen and I will be going to the further place. So once I log in, you'll be able to see the new screen here, and once I do a refresh here, you'll be able to see the save new screen here as well. So once the new screen comes, you can continue with the flow. So what I want is, once the new screen comes, I want to check whether we are in the whether the welcome message is being displayed or not. So for that, as it is text, I'll be switching the scan by to full, and I'll be selecting the text here, and I'm giving a verification functionality for it. So here, as you can see, there is no resource ID defined for this element. So I'll be having a action called compare, and I'll be giving the data that needs to be compared with the actual data available. And here I'll be changing the label as welcome message. So we'll come to know whether the welcome message has been verified or not. So here we have added the verification functionality that verifies the welcome message. So once the verification is done, I want to enter into the personal loan page. So I'll be clicking on the personal loan option and I'll be adding it to the flow. So once the personal loan is clicked, I will manually do the same here, and this is the personal loan page. So I will do a refresh screen. So once the screen comes here, we'll start continuing with the flow. So here I have to enter the loan amount. So I'm clicking on the loan amount text box and I'm giving a label name and I am giving a direct input. Like 10,000 is the amount that I have given and I will be adding it to the flow. So once the loan amount is added, I will go for the currency. I'll be clicking on currency here. So currency drop down will appear. Go for currency and I will add it to the flow. So once the currency is added or a currency is clicked, once the drop down is clicked, the drop down will be open. So that is a new screen again. So I'll be refreshing the screen. I'll be getting the new screen. So here I want to go for USD. So I'll be clicking on USD and I'll be changing the value as click and I'll be adding it to flow. Once currency is added, let the purpose be marriage. So I will go for tenure. So let tenure be in the label. So I'll just add it as tenure. And in input, let me give this as a direct hard-coded value where I'll give just 120 months. So that is 10 years. So I'll click on add to flow. So now for moratorium, I only have to have 12 months in moratorium, but I don't need to enter it directly, but I want to take it from tenure. So in that case, what I'll be doing is I'll be copying this action and I'll be using a function called substring and I'll be capturing only the first two elements of this string. So there's an action called get substring where you can use it and you can give a syntax for it. So the syntax will be variable name in square brackets will be the index. So I want the first two elements of the string. So this is the syntax then for that, and that will be stored in the variable called tenure, or I'll be use it as moratorium, and I'll be updating the flow. So once the input is done, it captures substring of the whole string and it stores in a variable called moratorium. And in moratorium, I want to enter this data. So in the label, I'll be giving the label as moratorium, and the input will be the same syntax of password, which will be like this, and I'll be adding it to flow. So in this way, substring can also be used. And once it is done, as I told before, I want to hide the keyboard. So what I can do is after more action, click on more actions, I can add a device back button. So this is how device back button works. So in device back button, if it is clicked, that will click on the back button so that the keyboard will be disappeared or hide it. So once that is done, I will be refreshing the screen and I will be clicking on next page and I will be adding it to the flow. So to make sure that it has been properly added to the next page, you can have a hard wait and a screenshot added so that in the next page you will be able to see the screenshot. So this is how we will be able to record it, and in the recorded actions we will be able to do so many modifications. For example, after input of the username and password and after clicking of login, I want to wait for 2 seconds for the page to load. So in that way what we can do, or if it takes more time, we can use the smart wait functionality where once the login is done, the next action is verification. So what we can do is I'll be adding a copy action for the verification and I'll be editing it as smart wait. And smart wait is nothing but though you give a bigger number of seconds to wait, based on the condition it used to check for the element and used to proceed further if the element is found before the given waiting time. So I'll be just giving it as 20 seconds and I want to know whether the text element is visible or not. If it is visible, then the verification will happen and it will proceed with the other options. So in this way, you'll be able to use the smart wait and verify element as well. So for verify element, you will be able to verify whether any button is clickable or any text is viewable or not. So for example, if you want to verify this click of the main login button, you'll be able to copy this action and I'll be able to edit it and give an action called verify element where I'll be giving a condition called element is clickable or not and I'll be giving a 20-second wait time. So once the input action is done, then it will verify whether the element is clickable or not. Then it will click it and it will further continue with the flow. So once this is done, we will be executing it and check. And in the sequence, if you want to change the sequence, and if you want to have the changed sequence to be saved, then once you change anything in the sequence, then you will be having a button called save sequence. By clicking on it, you will be able to save the newer rearranged sequence. So let me just execute this flow and see. Now we will put it for execution. So I'll click on run test for, go for the device, agent and the dataset. I'll click on run and you'll be able to see the same execution here. So in the same way how the mobile launched when we were recording it, the same way it will launch and it will execute one action after the other. So as you can see here, the actions one by one are getting executed. So the input of loan amount, choosing currency, and input of tenure, and getting a substring and inputting it in moratorium, all is happening step by step. And within 30 seconds or 45 seconds, there will be an auto refresh that updates the status of the execution. So it has come to the last part here. So after the next button, it will wait for 2 seconds, capture a screenshot, and once the execution is done, the application will automatically close in the mobile device, and there will be an auto refresh that is happening, and you'll be able to see this total execution. So here, if you see once the execution is done, you'll be able to see the test data that is being used, screenshots that have been taken, verifications that has been performed, the get value functionality we used for which places, like first name we used and we stored the value of admin in that, and moratorium from substring we used. So those things will be updated. If you are using a physical device, you will be able to see the device details and device metrics as well. So this is as far as the end-to-end bot building and execution of mobile app automation is considered. Thank you.